Happy Monday, students. So I want to go ahead and cover our Monday memo as well as some other things that I wanted to talk to y'all about. So first of all, let me go back to last week in terms of the discussion board that you all did for the ones who walk away from OMALOS. So that story caused some good discussions, but it also caused some students to have a difficult time approaching the story. And I think there were multiple reasons why that story was difficult for some. First of all, it isn't a traditional sort of narrative. It's an unusual kind of approach with that narrator and that long description of OMALOS, and then the shift to that description of the child in the cellar. And I think that students had a hard time with that physical description, particularly of the child in the cellar. So let me just say a couple of things about the whole story. That story is meant to be allegorical. It's not meant to be taken literally per se. If you think about the town or the society of OMALOS, I've always get the sense that's meant to be it's symbolic. Okay, something like a Garden of Eden gone wrong, or it's a utopia, which doesn't exist anywhere, obviously. And so it's meant to present something that doesn't really exist.
Did you just see the email?
I did. Hey, guys, sorry. Had a little interruption. So I wouldn't worry overly, worry's not the word. I want y'all to understand why I included that story. I went back and forth on it, and I went ahead and included it because I think that going along in college, you are going to be wrestling with moral issues as you work through different classes. And then as you go along in your everyday world, you're going to come across issues where you have to consider things that aren't necessarily pleasant. And so I think it's worth thinking about. And in terms of, like I said, the description, it's uncomfortable to read, and it's meant to be uncomfortable to read. I want you to remember that Ursula K. Le Guin writes this and chooses all of the trappings around that story very particularly, and she does it to make her readers uncomfortable. That is fully intentional, and it's, again, I don't think it's meant to be taken as a literal thing. It's meant to cause people to feel uncomfortable and consider what they would do. And so you guys, you did it, and something you may not ever come back and ever read that story, and that's fine. But it's good to be exposed to ideas and think about these issues as you go along. Now, our next story, the Vonnegut short story, To Be or Not, and that is a zero, pronounced not. And if you listen to the audio version of this story, I think it'll help you out a bit with that. It's To Be or Not to Be is much more traditional in its structure. It's a narrative, it's a story, there's dialogue, there are characters, but again, just like with the pedestrian, the lottery, OMALOS, this story is going to address moral issues in terms of what makes a utopian society. This particular futuristic world, which is set in our world, because if you notice, it's set in Chicago, but roughly 250 years into the future. You get the feeling, if you listen to the description of the timeline, it seems to be about 2200, 2250, something like that. But in Chicago. So in our world, but in our future world. And it's a world in which aging and disease has been cured, so to speak, and population has been gotten under control. So you can think about some of the same issues that we've been dealing with all along. Now, this week is going to be a little different. Let me go ahead and flip into our reading response unit. If we come down to the reading response 4, you note the date of the due date I have is February 13th, and that is correct. That's Thursday. Your reading response is due on Thursday, not on Sunday. And please keep that in mind. It's due on Thursday, not on Sunday. What we aren't going to do is the discussion board. You will turn in your worksheet as your virtual attendance assignment this week. That is due on Wednesday. Then you're going to turn right around and write that paper due on Thursday. This is your last reading response paper. I'm sure you're going to be glad about that. And you'll get that turned in on Thursday. Because what we're going to do after that, for the rest of the week, and this is the first, really the only week, one of the few weeks, let me put it that way, one of the few weeks that you have three assignments. So if we go back to our announcement again, so you've got your virtual attendance assignment due on Wednesday. That's the worksheet. You've got your paper, your little short paper, due on Thursday. And then we're going to begin our literary analysis essay. So you have an assignment at discussion board on Sunday in which you choose your text. It's going to be one of the 4 short stories or the poem, and start thinking about a theme you'd like to analyze. You will go to discussion board, and you're going to do worksheet 1, which I can't click on, but let me go ahead and actually click on over here because I'm having some Blackboard issues, as are many people. So if you're having some issues with Blackboard, you are not alone. Okay, so this is your theme selection worksheet. This is what you've got to do and upload this following the instructions to discussion board for Sunday the 16th of February. So you identify the story and the main theme. What's the central idea? Tell me, what's the plot? You already know this because you've been doing those reading response papers. Then you identify a possible theme of your story. Okay, and you should know this too because you've been doing that in those papers. And then upload one key quote or scene that reinforces your theme. Okay, then you've got to go, and here's where you're going to do your discussion board. You're going to go and comment on at least 2 classmates' posts. You will consider, does their theme make sense? Can you think of something else to help them? Or do you see some other theme they might explore? Okay? So that is what you're going to upload to Blackboard. All right, so in order to help you with theme, let's go back. Let me go back to our announcement. Okay. So in order to help you do to work through theme, actually it's not in announcements, it's under module 1. This discussion board, there is a handout on theme and literature. Okay? So I'm going to pull that up and pull that over. So you can read about this. Now you should feel pretty confident because you have been working on theme in terms of those reading response papers. but you want to go ahead and read this through and try to come up with some, maybe this will help you with a little bit. And right here on the second page, this is what I wanted to show you. So here are kind of general topics: family, friendship, greed, jealousy, good, evil. Remember with the lottery, tradition, moral issues, what's wrong and right. That's good and evil. Okay, so possible ways of then treating those topics with a theme I have right here. And again, ask yourself, why is theme important? Because it really helps readers connect with characters and with an underlying message that the story is sending. It really does kind of zero in on that human nature aspect, and that's what you're going to be writing about in terms of this paper. Now, that's your first step with this literary analysis essay, and that's due on Sunday. So to recap, by the end of this week, you'll have wrapped up your reading response unit, and you'll have begun your literary analysis essay by choosing your text and choosing the theme. Stay tuned. I will have a video on the story itself. And then later on in the week on Thursday, I'll post a Thursday announcement where I have a much fuller discussion on our essay, Module 1 essay, and the accompanying annotated bibliography. All right?